model number LB650A. It's an Altec boom, 50-footer platform, I think 55-foot working height. This is rotary valve replacement and rebuild. There you go. Wanted to give a short tutorial on this. I found nothing online to help with it. So this is a 1999 International bucket truck for tree trimming and an Altec boom. There is normally a shroud around this, a shroud down here. And to remove the rotary valve, you do not have to remove the turret. Some older models I think you did. There is no access plate to see the top of the turret. There is 7 lines, these here, that feed through this welded channel. To the other side is another safety valve that meters. But 4 of them, I'm sorry, attach to the top of the turret valve that pokes up in the middle. The valve itself does not, but there's fittings that will. I currently have that out. Easiest thing I came up with is colored tape or colored zip ties. Label your lines, take pictures before you undo them and pull them out so that you remember the order they went in. This is the view under the truck. I put the outriggers all the way down to raise the truck up some, so I had more room to sit up and work. I'm 6 foot, so it helped. So in the instructions, or the owner's mechanic's manual, talks about there is a pin right here at the tip of my finger, and there's 3 hoses on this end. So once you've taken all the top hoses off, there's 3 down here. 7/8, 1 inch, and 1 inch and a 1/16 crow's foot is what you will need. I did not have 1 inch and 1/16 crow's foot, so I made one. Used a China wrench, drilled a hole through it, or cut it off first. Cut off a Craftsman extension, put it through the hole, welded it, 3/8. Works beautifully. Not that you can't order them, I just didn't want to wait. So you have 3 lines that you remove, and the oil flow down is not too bad. The instructions say to then cock the valve to the side, which will pull this pin out. It's a clocking pin. It keeps the bottom half of the valve from rotating. That is a bear. It's hard with that copper grease tube there to not kink it. And so on a reassembly, I will not have that pin in. I will put the pin in after I've installed the valve. And this is the driver's side of the truck, opposite the control valve, ground level. I did label the lines and then took pictures before I removed them. You can see the copper line that goes for greasing. It sticks out the back. Allows you to grease the turret bearing from up top. The 2 hydraulic lines, they go down through and pop out on either side. One pulls through, and one is here. It feeds back through there. It's actually not too bad if you have an understanding of what you're getting into. I struggled with that in the beginning because I didn't know what I was getting into. This is the torn down view of the rotary valve. This section goes down through, and you have what they call a spacer washer and a snap ring. Seal kit will be in tomorrow. So you have your different level seals here. There's 2 in this joint. Each other one has 1. I don't know if there's an O-ring below them. I haven't pulled them apart. And there's an upper and lower seal that will need pressed back in the housing. This is what the custom wrench looks like. Nothing fancy, but it worked well. And like I said, you will need crow's feet to undo the lines from the very bottom. You will also need 4 different size crow's feet to take and undo those lines that are in the cross tube on the rotary. Assembly is the opposite of disassemble. Clean as you go, and I would recommend changing your system filter in case you got any debris in, so that way right away it's being filtered out. If you have a truck that has electronic sensors and controls, the wire goes up through here, will pop out the top, and the manufacturing book says that the fitting on either end of the wire will feed through. You don't have to cut your wire and resplice it. But that's how they fed that command wire through. My truck, that was not an option, but apparently there are trucks that is an option. This is a brief array of the tools I used. Actually, I did not use this wrench, but I used wire cutters to take some protective sheaths away to be able to move lines around under the truck. On the bottom side of the truck, you will use that 1 16". You'll use a 1 inch and a 7/8. 2-foot extension. I used 2 more 6-inch extensions. Good size ratchet. They're tight. Stubby wrenches were kind of handy at different times. Not every time. And up top, I used the 1 inch 7/8 crow's foot, and I used an 11/16 crow's foot. To get lines apart in the very middle of that cross tube that were attached to the top of the rotary valve. Probably your hardest part is reassemble, because we did disassemble and reassemble because we found a damaged line, but that was not our leak. It turned out to be 2 different leaks, one minor, one major. The crow's foot comes in handy for realigning your bolts. You will want somebody up top with a pry bar to hold the valve up, as you can only fit one arm, shoulder, and part of your head from underneath up in there to feed your bolts. Once you get one started, it's not bad, but that's the hardest part, is getting it held up. This is your clocking pin. Keeps you from rotating the truck side of the valve. And I put it in after installing the valve. It was much easier.